Greetings and salutations, welcome back to the channel. It's LukeTheDuke, and I've hit the Ark news several times this week. We had some stream fail action, that whole Snail Games investor statement, and we'll circle back to some of this in just a moment. But it's Friday, and that means a brand new, hot off the press Ark Community Crunch, featuring the Gigantoraptor Dossier. Now, I've got the full breakdown for you, but before we jump into all of that, please take a moment to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are always appreciated. Chapters are available for easy navigation, and let's get this one going. Alright, like I said, Community Crunch number 371 is now live, and as expected, we've got the new creature dossier for Gigantoraptor. And the first thing you notice is this creature is big, and we had some indication of just how big from 2 weeks ago when we got this size comparison to a human, but seeing it here with a full-size adult kind of looking directly up at it, you get a sense of just how big Gigantoraptor is. Now, the dossier goes on to spell out just how territorial and maternal this omnivore is, going so far as to say that when this beast is wild, it will not attack you unless you plan to raid its base, as it's much more of a caregiver than a fighter. But Gigantoraptor is not just a pretty set of plumage, as it will use its sharp claws and speed to defend its young, making it ideal to protect your dinos around your base, even protecting babies of rival species. Some interesting side notes also mention that Gigantoraptor not only looks after those young pups, but it will instruct them and teach them how to fight. And if you really want to maximize a Gigantoraptor in a battle, bring some of those young dinos into the middle of the fray and watch its maternal instincts kick in. Now on to the taming, and here's the tough bit, because according to the dossier, Gigantoraptor is resistant to behavioral conditioning, but rumor has it that if you can sneak into its nest and win the trust of their young, you will claim a reward worth the risk. So, it looks like you have to win over the babies to earn mama's affection. Interesting. Anyways, there it is in all its glory, Gigantoraptor, coming to Ark Survival Ascended Ragnarok. Still now without a firm date, but we do know that the island is set to currently be slated for October. Scorched Earth was also originally going to be paired with the island. That has of course changed. Now with Scorched Earth slated for December and Aberration and Ragnarok following in Q1 2024. While we're on the topic of creatures, the second round of creature voting for Ark Survival Ascended Aberration will end on July the 24th, with the winner being announced on Friday, so that's next Friday, July the 28th. Now, I've covered each of these 10 finalists in this video, link in the video description, but just to recap them for you, you've got Shunosaurus, Motobite, Chimerarachne, Coolosuchus, Paleoctopus, Pteroturpodon, Chasmosaurus, Ornomegalonyx, Yi-Chi, and Mavia Eureka. As with all of these creature votes, this is based on rank choice voting, so you need to rank all 10 and then hit submit. And oh, by the way, a point of clarification here, in case you were looking for the link to Community Crunch number 371, because you wanted to check out the latest in ASA and Ark 2 news, this is week number 2 of nothing being mentioned about Ark Survival Ascended or Ark 2. Now, normally we would see one of those side-by-side UE4 to UE5 asset comparisons, or, in the case of Ark 2, concept artwork, but again, this week, nothing. Just the Gigantoraptor Dossier for Ragnarok and the creature voting for Aberration. I don't know why Wildcard is still refusing to even show screenshots of Ark Survival Ascended, a landscape, a character standing still on the side of the mountain, hell, a few creatures in the wild. Anything will do at this point, and I have my suspicions, I'm sure you have them as well, but this week's crunch did nothing to remedy that fact. Wildcard keeps playing this game of maybe if we hide our head in the sand, we can become invisible, hoping that the entire Ark community just all of a sudden forgets everything that has gone down and moves on from the Ark Survival Ascended discussion, which we know the community is never going to let happen. Anyways, This week's Evo event will end on Monday. As per standard practice, you've got 2 times harvesting on officials, 4.5 on small tribe, and 5 times on Arkpocalypse and Conquest. And as expected, no statements or mentions about what went down on official Conquest. So if you were going to check through the crunch for hopes of seeing something like that, it's much like ASA news, it's not happening. And finishing up this week's crunch is another mention of DEDsafio Ark. And I've got to hand it to Wildcard on this one. At least they had the good sense and decency to list this under the event header of Community Corner, which they did in last week's crunch as well. Now, I covered DEDsafio this week and how Ark publisher Snail Games released this odd investor announcement attempting to portray the event as a collaboration effort with the DEDsafio crew, which it was not. And that misconception was aggressively called out and denied over on Twitter by members of the DEDsafio community. Anyways, if you want in on the action, I will include links to DEDsafio's Twitter and Twitch channels in the video description.
And now for something completely different.
I know my Ark coverage can get a bit overzealous at times. I mean, I can't admit to that. And so let's end today's news coverage with a bit of a feel-good story. Now, while on Twitter earlier today, I ran into this tweet by Thumbnail Artist, and the text reads, "Artist, you can only use one Ark picture to convince people to follow you," with this attached talk thumbnail and a ooh for good measure. Anyways, I don't know why, I happened to click into the replies and I was floored. This is Dave Melvin, and if you didn't know him before, you will now, because he is the originator of the Ark logo. And just look at the original version in all its glory. Melvin seems to have an awesome disposition as well, because he writes, "This one could have made me pretty comfortable forever, but I had no idea what it would become and did not request royalties at the time. Silly me, lesson learned." And after I read this, my heart went out to him. There it is, the Ark logo. He conceptualized it and never requested the royalties. I'm really glad I found this OG Ark logo, and I'm going to personally save a copy of it to my hard drive. I really like the bottom triangles being separated versus the connected version we now have. Anyways, there it is, a piece of Ark lore for you to close it up. As always, I welcome your feedback about anything Ark related. Let me know where you stand on all of this. Remember to hit that sub button. It's free and it really helps out the channel. And while you're at it, ring the notifications bell to receive those upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are always appreciated. All my social links can be found in the video description. Shout out to the nearly 128,000 of you that have stuck with me and hit subscribe. And a special thanks goes out to my patrons. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.